Aha! They'll never know that I had gum in my mouth. Hello, guys. I see 6 people out there waiting at least.
Hello.
So let me mute myself. Haha, there we go.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, like mute.
And it literally opened with, I had gum in my mouth. Like, no explanation.
Good. That's how we like it. We're
Yes.
supposed to be shouting things that people won't understand at the beginning of here, aren't we?
Oh, that's right. Squirrelheim!
Squirrel, squirrel!
Okay, so hi, Alvine. Alvine's in the chat.
Hi, welcome to Squirrelheim.
Hello, everybody. So this is another episode of Beyond the Boundaries with Chris Ashburn, and generally, most of the time, Joey Morris.
I don't know what you mean. I'm never on here.
I've been on every single Beyond the Boundaries so far, so. Hi, Diana. Hi, Willow. So, for those of you who don't know who I am, why are you on my channel? But, hi.
That was really confrontational. Why
are you on my channel? No. Stay a while. Have some tea. I have an extra water bottle. I just thought of like shoving it in the camera, like, drink this. No.
This is not going well. You shouted at them and shoved water at them.
This is what happens when Chris has to do the introductions, okay? This is random. It starts with, I had gum in my mouth. This is what happens. Okay. Oh, Alan's here too. And Maeve. And Dawn. All the peoples. Oh, I was worried that we weren't going to have very many peoples because it's earlier than we usually do it.
Well, we might be hitting that morning jam for people.
And Avalon has finally caught us live. Everybody freeze.
Da-da-da-da. Yes.
Hi, Helen.
Hello.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about dream work, dream walking, things along that nature. I'm sure we'll kind of flow wherever that takes us. But I will say ahead of time, if you don't know who either of us are, our links are all in the down bar already. So you can find any of that, sub us, like us, follow our Instagrams, that kind of shit, whatever. Anyway, dreams. So, Joey, you had someone... So, Joey, you had someone on your channel ask you to cover dream walking specifically.
Yeah.
What was the context of that? Because I don't remember.
I think I had commented that I'd been dream walking again. Like I had posted on Facebook, oh, I've been dream walking again, because this is a relatively new experience for me. And that I remember anyway. I may have done this as a child and then I've kind of forgotten about it. And I had posted about, oh, I'm dream walking again. And I had a request to be like, what do you mean? Explain yourself, goddammit, now. And I was like, Chris! Chris, do you want to talk about this? Let's just make
a thing. And Chris always wants to talk about all the things, even when she doesn't know all of them, as you can see from our last astrology chat.
Yeah. Well, our last 2 astrology chats, technically. We'll talk about astrology and death. Oh wait, no, this became sex real fast.
Astrology and the little death, yeah.
Yeah.
So, dream walking. I guess first, since she was the one who asked you, what do you mean by dream walking? Like, what do you mean when you say that phrase?
Okay, so dreaming and dream walking feel very different to me in terms of energy. So dreaming is like when you're kind of bearing witness, but dream walking is kind of like when you're being projective almost. It either, to me, can mean like when you've sort of managed to project yourself into somebody else's dream state or meditative state or a REM cycle or whatever. Or when you're kind of like trying, for me, it almost became like looking through the eyes of other people. So that it's kind of like you're not just a passenger in their dream, but you're kind of participating in it. And it was very bizarre to me because there was all of this like mask work, which I've talked quite a bit about. And it was like putting a mask on and then you were seeing through someone else's eyes quite literally. And it's one of the most exhausting processes ever. It was not like when you dream and you sleep and you wake up rested. this was not that. This was like, oh my God,
Right.
what have I been doing? And it kind of feels like being astrally bounced all over the place is what it felt like to me. And it was kind of like, we're here, we're there, we're everywhere we're gone.
Everywhere. Welcome to the flux in dreaming world. Anyway. That also happens a lot, guys. So this is...
They should all know the course by now.
They should. They should. So something interesting about the like seeing through other eyes, that always reminds me of like when you mind meld with animals. I don't know if anybody's ever done that, where you like, it's sort of a form of shape-shifting, where you like meld with that animal, like a bird, for instance, and you can see through the bird's eyes. It like reminds me of that element, but in dream work. And that's some weird shit.
Well, that should be our tagline. Welcome to some weird shit. Joey.
Yeah. Some interesting stuff. But okay, so the first thing, let's talk about the first one where like you can like go, like you just find yourself in other people's dreams. Because that's one that happens with me a lot. And I know it's happened with you. And people don't really talk about it that much, I feel like.
No.
They're always talking about like lucid dreaming and controlling the dream, but not the fact that like you can show up in someone else's.
You can astrally project your ass into somebody else's dream, pretty much, yeah.
Just our ass?
Just your ass, that's it.
Interesting. Don't know that I recommend it.
It's the curve of the dream curve or something. No?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alan says, Bear does that weird shit to me, melding, but only half in control. Yeah, the mind melding. It's strange. Fun, but strange. So, all right. So for me, it would just start happening. Like, dream hopping, we'll say. It would just start happening, and I wouldn't even know necessarily at first that I was thinking like my mind was making this up.
Yeah.
And then I would go to like work, for instance, and it would be my coworker, and they would start telling me about this crazy dream and how I said stuff to them in it and da da da, and I'm like,
I know. I was there.
Yeah. So about that. Yeah. So, it happened a lot at random, and then I was like, well, maybe I can control this. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. I feel like sometimes you can like set the intention, but when you get there, your guides, your deities, your ancestors, what have you, kind of go, that's nice. You gonna get this.
Yeah. You want to control it.
That's nice. That's a good thought.
Yeah. Learn the lesson instead.
E for effort, but yes. So you guys out there, I'm going to extend this to you as well. If you've ever done like dream hopping, found yourself in someone else's dream, anything like that, like give me some experiences, give me some stuff, because this isn't just like if you've been to a Joey and I talk, you know that we also want to hear your shit too. So
I don't want to hear your shit. I'll hear your thoughts.
What if they're making flowers instead of shit castles though?
Oh, I like it. She tied it right back. That fluxy thinking. Yes. No? Projecting oneself into another soul dream is some intense shit. Happens all the time when I hit the flying ointment from Avalon.
Yes.
Yeah. So thinking about it, I had been working with flying ointment around the same time that I started doing this. I wasn't using flying ointment for that specific thing. This was more about trying to work out messages, because I'd had some intense dreams happening to me, and I was like mind blown, and I'd like written it out on Facebook, and people know about this, and I was like, I had this dream about how I came into this incarnation, and there's somebody else out there, and all this stuff. And so I was trying to figure all that out, and then the astrally hopping about into other people's dreams started. So there was flying ointment.
That's interesting.
I wonder if like the commitment to like raise oneself out of oneself kind of triggers the subconscious. So when you're sleeping, then you like start doing it then as well. So your brain's like catching up, like, oh, you wanted to do this, so let's do this. And it kind of opens that door up.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back now on like mine, if any of that had happened or anything that was mind altering or, you know. And I mean, a few of them maybe, but not all of them. But that's interesting, that correlation though.
Hey, Mystic.
It's like a delayed response.
I mean, my dreams have been more intense as well around the same time. So there was kind of like, I had been focusing on those intense dreams as well.
Well, and also like something that we haven't really talked about yet is like the moon cycles and stuff with dreaming are a thing.
Some weird ass shit at full moon. Full moon is the weirdest dream work ever.
And it's almost like my body, because I get the opposite. A lot of people tend to get really energized during the full moon, and I actually am like wiped. Like I just want to sleep. I want to freaking hibernate. And it's almost like my body is going, it's time to get messages. Lay the f down.
Yeah.
Like,
lay the fuck down.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, fine. I'll go in my cave.
That sounds...
Hi, Melinda.
Welcome to the chat with Joey and Chris. Lay the fuck down.
Yeah, where that's your first words when you come in.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to check what the moon phase was when I had this really intense
So what are people
dream.
saying? I've had several incubus attacks over the past few years, and I know I'm not dreaming, as it is quite a conscious fight to dismiss it. But if you believe they exist, how would you tell the difference? How would you tell the difference between what?
So when I had this really intense dream, this life-altering intense dream, it was exactly on the new moon.
Ha-ha!
I'm just going to write that in my journal. Virgo.
Yeah, I'd make a note of that, Virgo.
Virgos are making the notes. There we go. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love Dark Moon. Oh, anyway, not what we're talking about.
Yes. Yes. Dark Moon is lovely.
So what were we talking about succubuses?
Helen Richards, towards the top of the chat.
I have had several incubus attacks over the past few years, and I know I am not dreaming. This is a conscious fight. But if you believe they exist, how would you tell the difference? Well, when I have spirits in my room, which is not the same thing as that, my subconscious often kind of alters. It's kind of like a part of you just knows that there's an entity in the room which isn't benign or isn't unreal or anything, because I've had like nasty spirits come into my room and I do this bathe thing and I scream at it. I come out of sleep screaming at it, and I'll like sit up and I wake up and I'm screaming at something. It took me a while to realize that I wasn't like having nightmares or anything. I was screaming at something that had managed to get into my room for whatever reason. And it happens sometimes because I have natural spirit abilities, and like it happens to all of us. And as witches, we can feel a bit ashamed of it sometimes, being like, oh, well, my magic should be to the point where I'm protected. I should be safe. And it's like, yeah, but it happens to all of us. Things find a way. They're sneaky.
Well, if we were 100% safe all the time and nothing ever made it to us, how would we grow?
Oh, exactly. I was thinking that same thing as she said it. I was like, she's going to say Grace. She's going to say it. She's going to go there.
Of course I am.
Welcome to the live chat with Joey and Chris. She's going to go there. She's going to go there.
I just did. Drop the mic.
But
don't, because that would be very loud.
Yeah. Well, it's attached to an arm. It's not going to drop.
Mine isn't yet, but it will be eventually.
So
you don't hear this.
Yeah. So I think the problem that you're maybe dealing with there is you're thinking about it as in terms of a conscious thing, and maybe you should trust your subconscious, like, because your subconscious generally takes care of you with regards to
into the feel. Yeah.
And like your conscious mind might get in the way, like, am I imagining this? Am I fearing this? And it puts like walls up and blocks up. Trust the subconscious instead, and that intuitive part of yourself should know what it's doing. Christina says she's had lucid dreams, I think. When I've had nightmares, I've been able to stop whatever is happening, rewind and start again. And if I can change what's happening.
Oh, that was my favorite thing to do. That was like my jam when I was a teen. Or even like late childhood. I would have dreams where, like, you know, there's like a murderer chasing me. And then I remember stopping mid-run and being like, hold up, this is my dream.
Hold up.
And then like finding something, like creating something that's like a weapon, and then turning around and chasing the dude who was chasing me.
That is awesome.
Like literally and they'd be like, no, this is mine. I'll run this.
I've done that a bit.
Those are fun.
A bit. But when I tend to lucid dream, I become the most Virgo that you can possibly be. And I start analyzing my own dream whilst dreaming it, knowing that I'm dreaming, knowing that I'm analyzing my dream whilst I'm dreaming. It's like Virgo on crack, basically. It's like, right, well, this obviously means this, and this is clearly the symbol for this. And I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, that's so...
That is... probably the most Virgo thing I've ever heard yet.
Yep.
See, I dream of people and run into them, and they'll be like, oh, I wanted to talk to you. Yep. Yeah. That's a thing. Or they'll pop into your mind too.
That's unconscious signals and energy, like reaching out into the subconscious, I think, especially in the dream state where it's most easy to access.
Well, it's part of that, like, that system we were talking about the other day. The veins,
Everybody else is like, what?
What did you call it originally? Like the other world, I think is how you described that, with the roots in that one show that we did. Yeah. So basically, oh, go ahead.
No, it's okay. You go.
Okay. So, we're just gonna say that. We're gonna talk like that for the rest of this hour. No, that's gonna annoy the shit out of you guys. No. So I was talking with Charlie the other day, and we were talking about, I don't even remember really now, but basically we got on the subject of the fact that there is a pattern that is repeated multiple times, like the lines in a placenta, the lines in your lungs, the electrons firing in your brain, and then also like you can take a sky view of like the rivers and lakes and everything in the land, the crevices, and they're all very, very similar, and all of the veins are their own veins, but the way that they work overall is very similar. And so we were kind of talking about people with emotions and situations where, like, say someone with depression, one person can have very, specific stuff, and then another person can have other specifics, but that underlying current, that system of what they feel at the core tends to be very similar. And it's tapping into those veins, tapping into the system, to the roots that run in everything, and that flow of current. And Joey had described that previously as like these roots that glow and pulse with energy, that connect everything. So that's what we're talking about when we say that. Just So, for the record.
Context, yeah.
Yes. Let's see. Ellen said, I find that after using a really good flying ointment, the mind stays really open for several days, depending on how much clean eating I do. But it's a thing. A good flying ointment is a game changer.
Oh, yeah. My flying ointment, if anyone is interested, came from a Kavulta.
Oh my gosh, I want some of their stuff so bad.
I don't think they do the flying ointment anymore, though, but they do have the most gorgeous incenses, because I got a necromancy incense from them that has bone dust in it, and it's so good. I use it for my ancestors. It's because I can't get bone dust to make my own, so I was like, I will happily pay for that. Like, it's so good. It's so good.
What else do we have? The more vivid and lucid the dream, the more important and life-altering message to listen to. Some of these dreams have stayed with me years, decades after they were turning points on my journey. I do agree with the more vivid and stronger they are, because honestly, most of the time I'm aware that I dream, but I don't remember it.
Oh, okay.
The only time I really remember stuff is when it's either a message for someone, and Alan can vouch for that in here, because I've had to contact him a couple times. Or it's something for me that's it might be a little cryptic because it's dreaming, but it's something that is very in the forefront that I need to pay attention to. So a message for someone else, a message for me. And even the ones where I'm lucid dreaming, it's when I've actually gone to bed and said this is what I'm going to do tonight, set that intention before I did it. It doesn't often happen these days without me establishing that this is going to happen.
So I'm kind of the opposite. I dream that I remember 4 or 5 times a night, and I'll remember 4 or 5 a night. I wonder if this is tied up in when I was talking with the Morrigan at one point, she was like, your first gift is to see. And I was like, okay, it's because I had clairvoyance from a very early age. I was seeing spirits from a very early age. And I wondered if the fact that I dreamt so much kind of tied into the whole seeing. And that was kind of the first natural ability that I had, or the most prominent natural ability that I had that I remember first off. And so I will remember 4 or 5 dreams a night. And sometimes it's nonsense. Sometimes I write it down and people are like, you should write a book, because damn, that's kind of this whole story within a dream. And I will, because I don't sleep very heavily. So I literally dream and wake up, dream and wake up, dream and wake up. And because I'm doing that, I'm remembering. But this dream that I had on that new moon, it was so detailed. And there was bizarre details. And there was I remembered every single part of it so vividly that I was like, it's difficult to even put into words that that's a door. That a door has just opened in your mind and information has just come through that is going to alter your life. And you don't know how it's going to manifest yet, but it's coming, because something like that is completely different. It's completely unique, and it has this feel over it, and your whole body's like, oh my God, there's something going on, and it's completely different. So yeah, absolutely vividness. Yeah. Welcome to the flux. Thank you.
Let's see. Victor Anderson, father of Fairy Trad, said anything worth doing is dangerous, or something like that. Yeah. Yeah. It's got to be a little risk involved. Or a lot.
You got to be a little bit risque.
Yep. Cough, cough, full card. Cough, cough.
Melinda says, I had a dream last night about planting aloe and sage. Witchy dreams. Do you know? I'm gonna jump on this right here. I had a dream.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. I'm excited.
Okay.
It's my excited fox face that does this. Oh, I had a thought I need to share with the world. Yeah. So I had this dream when I was under a lot of spiritual attack. And I had this dream and I was walking through a marketplace, and there were these wooden plaques, and they were hanging up on beaded jewelry. And I was told by someone, I don't remember whom, to go and look at these. And they had constellations and like of stars, like, you know, you get constellations that are dots and then you get the lines mixed in with other symbols, so runic symbols or like the alchemaic symbols for like Mars and Venus and things like that, to create star sigils. And I was like, what is this? And I was like, I wrote about it in the morning, and then I made a video which is on my channel, like, oh my god, I had this dream, and I was so excited, and it was the witchiest dream I've ever had. And I don't normally work necessarily with constellations, a bit more now than I ever have. So it was really interesting that somewhere out there,
says the one who owns the business called Starry-Eyed Supplies.
That there's a whole other story behind why the Starry-Eyed Supplies is that. It's a whole other story.
Let's see. Courtney, I believe I have communicated with loved ones who have passed on while dreaming. They will come and give me a message and leave. Yeah, that's actually really, really common. I probably talked to my father more often after he died than when he was alive. Yeah, that's really common. And I've had a lot of my clients also come to me and have had dreams. And sometimes what happens is, like, they'll try and get in touch with you too soon where you haven't had the time to, like, process. And it comes through as this sort of nightmare or like they're angry at you or something like that. And it's really them trying to let you know that they're there still. But it's like your brain and your heart are having trouble making sense of this.
So as you were talking about this, I was just thinking about, and I got the message from up here somewhere, that through our dreams we get echoes of death, and echoes of death can be from people on the other side, but it also can be echoes of our own past lives. And we were talking in an otherworld chat how we felt that all of our lives were interconnected and we were like pulses of energy on different strands. So perhaps you were existing in more than one place at the same time. And so if that's true, then maybe in your dreams where you're more receptive, when you're dreaming of past lives or past loved ones or people that you don't know but you do know, it's actually echoes across time, across death, across boundaries, across the boundaries. I tied it in.
The boundaries.
I tied it into the borders and the boundaries and the hashtag Virgo.
Yes. I think that's, I mean, that reminds me of what we were saying about Demeter and Persephone too in that other chat.
Guess what I've been working with today? Hello, Persephone.
Yeah, so for those of you who weren't there, I basically said it's kind of like the flower of life, and how, like, as Persephone went to the underworld, Demeter held a piece of that, essentially death, with her. And so everything died and was like, it'll be like this until I get her back. And I was talking about how when someone dies, a piece of death also is with us. Like, there's a trade-off, like a give and take. A universal balance. And so it reminded me of the flower of life, how the circles overlap each other and there's a piece in every circle, and how that's really all of us. Like, we hold pieces of people with us.
And when we're holding, we hold that piece of death within us that then manifests through mourning in the same way that Demeter's mourning manifested through physical death. And then the piece that goes with the person who has passed into the other world becomes a piece of life within them to help them be reborn. And it's kind of like that trade-off that we talked about. So.
I like that we started with dream work and now we're talking about death, because we always end up on death.
I'm sorry, but I love the quote.
I'm not sorry.
No, I love the quote that's like, we all die every night when we go to sleep and we're all reborn in the morning, because it is as close to a death state as we can get in life until we pass into it. It's the closest possibly to the void that we ever get when we're completely submerged in the other world by night, because we go
down. It's also quite fluxy, isn't it, over there?
And that's why dreams sometimes are all over the place, because we're in an underworld space, and it doesn't have to be linear, because it's only in our conscious minds that we demand everything be linear. So when we go into a dream state and everything's like, we can fly, but we're suddenly a chicken, but we're suddenly this, and it's that's fluxy thinking, like on overload. So
I'm just looking through all the comments that everybody's leaving.
What's the fox? What's the fox?
I know. I was trying to find the fox. Totally off topic, but I just finished my tea and swirled around the leaves. Fox is totally saying hi. Oh, it's Alvine.
Oh, I love that fox. That fox. Hang on.
Uh-oh. She's scooting with the chair. This is great. Oh.
Say hello, Pudding. You're
Hello,
famous.
Pudding.
You're famous now, Pudding. You were famous anyway. I know. Also, the book that I wrote my dream in, you know, that really important dream.
Yes. Haha! Foxes!
So yeah, foxes everywhere.
All right. So, let's see. My dad never gave me hugs when he was alive. He's given me more hugs in my dream than he ever did when he was alive. Yeah.
That's because expectation gets dropped in the other world. Like your conditioning gets dropped in the other world, and you become more open to the experiences, which is why you're more open to experiences when you're dreaming, because you're in an underworld space, you're in a death space.
Yeah.
If you ask me, which, you know, I'm going to guess you guys did because you're here.
Am I in a death space, Joey, when I dream?
We're in a death space 24/7. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. See.
But you think about it, like you go to sleep, you've got no control. It's like being dead. If you take away your breath, you'd be dead. It's the same. It looks the same. It feels the same. It's not quite the same because you do come back, but it's almost like Persephone traveling on a nightly basis down into the underworld and then up into the
interesting.
It's kind of like a daily, nightly cycle of that.
Yeah. Well, and also you say, you know, but you do come back, but that's also like looking at death. Do we come back?
Do we come back changed every morning?
Do we just? Well, I mean, like that's one of those things with death where like people don't really know for sure. A lot of people have theories, but it's like that is also an assumption there, saying like, you know, well, you know, death and dreaming are similar, but the only difference is that you come back when you dream. Well, maybe we ultimately come back when we die as well.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's still. It's still a flux.
It's a parallel. Yes, I like it. I like it a lot.
I heard something about a wolf. What?
Prophetic dreaming lately. My goodness. So have you had prophetic dreaming? Wonder Weirdness Witchcraft?
Yes.
I had a really interesting dream about my mother, which is going back in time. And I dreamt that she was like in this red van and it had a sliding door and it was literally the most 70s looking thing you've ever seen in your life. And I like said to her, like, so I dreamt this and this and this. And of course she looked at me like I was crazy, but it was true. It had happened. So it's really interesting how, again, this kind of ties into an other world space because time flows differently there. That we dream and we can go forwards and backwards or sideways.
Spiral. Yeah. Aha.
She
ways. Yes.
She ways. So it's really interesting to me that how people focus on like prophetic dreamings, and it's all about time in some ways. And so if we are going into an underworld space when we're dreaming, that makes sense because the linear rules of time that we put on time no longer apply because we're in a subconscious state. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Very interesting. with this hand movement and this accent, apparently. I don't know what it is, but hey.
We're gonna go with it, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, prophetic dreams kind of runs in my family because my mom would always be the one that dreamt if like someone was gonna have a kid and what the sex would be and what they would look like and all that. She's done that with a couple of my friends and their parents. Avalon's down with a bit of reincarnation. Yeah.
Well, just a bit of reincarnation.
Just a bit.
Just a little bit. Not too much.
Yeah. Yeah. But I've also had spirit bring me messages about the future. If that makes sense.
That
too.
happens
like
more
not
to
just
me than
dreaming about the future, but also like them coming and being like, "Hey, this thing is gonna happen."
Yeah,
I mean, being like, "What are you talking about? That's not reality now." And then I wake up and I'm like, "Oh, I know where this is going."
Mm-hmm. Has anyone had experiences with faceless figures in dreams? Asks Dawn.
Oh, absolutely. So that's how I tell the difference between like a me dream and a message. If it's a me dream, they have no face. They might be the energy of that person they represent. Say like, say my best friend was in it, which her name is Shane, like oldest friend. And she, like the figure was her. I could see her body and it was her. Her energy was her. But when I looked at her face, it was just blurred. Like it was like absent. That is a me dream. Now, if I can see her face in detail, this is a message for her. And that's how I know the difference. That's what I've like deciphered for me personally over the years. Now, it might be different with other people because everybody's got their own spiritual Rolodex that they have to learn. But for me, that was my experience is when there is no face, it's mine. And they're just like an archetype of my inner workings and they're symbolic of something. When they have a face, it's that person. How about you?
I'm trying to think if I can remember any dreams that I've had with faceless people. I mean, often to take it back to dream walking slightly, if I'm dream walking, then I don't see their face. Like if I literally put the mask on to see through the eyes of whoever it is, then I see through the eyes of whoever it is, and it's like I am them. So I don't see any faces in that. So there is an absence of face when I dream walk. I can't think of any occasions where I noticed very vividly about a lack of or a blurred face. I can't, and it must be a thing. I'm thinking that it must have happened, but there's not one specific example I can think of lately. But then all my dreams have been because all my dreams lately have been you're going in this direction, you're going to do this. There's been a very strong presence with all of my dreams lately, rather than it being like a little bit more abstract. Abby Does Witchcraft says, I believe my daughter from a past life keeps visiting me in my dreams, a little curly red-headed girl. I think she's waiting to come back. She's always holding my hand and smiling at me. Aww. Aww. That's so sweet. I've dreamt about children I've had in past lives. I've dreamt about past lives quite a bit. So I had this past life where I was in Spain. And
you were in Spain.
And I was an interpreter. Were you in Spain too? Do we crisscross more often than we should? So I was an interpreter.
Not surprising.
And there was an invading foreign army that might have been, I can't remember who they were, but I know they had gotten into the town that they had invaded. And I was an interpreter in that I could speak both languages, even though I was native to the Spanish town. And I remember that there were soldiers everywhere. And I remember that two soldiers, like I'd been friendly with one male soldier, and I had been falling in love with that male soldier. And another male soldier this is both from the opposing army, was jealous. And he tried to attack and he tried to rape me. And the other guy came in and like shoved him off and took me away. And and saved me. And then at a later point in the dream, that guy came back and he murdered me. And I died in the other guy's arms. And I remember that being, I woke up and I was like, oh my God, that's the saddest thing I've ever seen. Why? And I was like, but I knew, because there was something about the smell of oranges, like Spanish oranges, that kind of came up through the dream. And then whenever I smell that smell of the very Spanish orange, which is a little bit different from other oranges, there's kind of like a sweetness to it. There's a bit that for some reason triggers memory, past life recall and things. It was so real and so sad. And I was like, oh no, that's like the saddest thing ever.
See, has anybody been able to control dream walking? How do you start to train yourself to do this if it is possible? Avalon recommended flying ointments and pillow charms. I second the pillow charms. I haven't really experimented with the flying ointments directly with that, so I can't really vouch for that yet. But Avalon knows her shit, so try it. For me, it's been mostly like intention setting and kind of holding that energy before I go to bed and keeping a journal close to me. And when I say that, I don't mean write out a whole freaking page of what you dreamt. I mean like keywords that'll jog your memory when you wake up, like fully. You know, like maybe I had a dream where I was naked in a doctor's office and I came out and there was a 1957 Chevy Bel Air out there and it was powder blue and I felt like this and there were other people and this was going on. I would wake up and I would write doctor's office, naked, Bel Air.
Welcome to the lab chat with Joe.
Yeah. And then just be like done. And then when I, you know, or like a feeling or whatever was the most prominent, and then go back to sleep or do my stuff for the rest of the morning. And then when I come back, like it'll flush itself out. Just a memory jogger.
So I would say that things that I was
just gonna say, like, the more you work with that, the more you'll like remember it, and the more you remember, the more you become like really conscious of what you're doing, and it will help to control things better, to hear things better also, because a lot of people like will have people talking to them and they're just like it's lost, like they can't hear them.
So the things that I have learned so far is the first things to say is that I identified that there was a difference in awareness with regards to dream walking and regards to normal dreaming. So first become aware that there is a difference in awareness and a difference in energy when you're doing these two things. And when you can identify the different energies, you then become aware that you're doing it. And that's the first step towards controlling something, realizing what's going on. I actually asked my guides in a state of astral journeying with the dream hopping, because I was like, can I control this? And at that point they said to me, not yet, learn the process first. And I was like, okay, right. So I had someone guiding me through dream hopping, dream journaling. And then the thing that helps me when I am in that state, when it's an elevated state, is that I then put the masks on. And that's my physical, tangible, but not really, way of putting on, right, I'm doing dream working now. I'm putting on the dream working mask.
One might say it's your Helcape.
You're going to need to explain that, because some people are going to be like, what? What did you just say? And look at her face. Look at her face. I have played right into Wolfie's hands. She's like, no.
So a Helcape was a mask that was used to go into the underworld, and a lot of people say that it deemed you invisible. I tend to have a lot of other thoughts, and I'll talk about that at a later date more in depth.
Next live stream.
Yes, exactly. But basically it was a mask, a ritual mask that you wear to go into the underworld. And it's called a Helcape because it's cape is cap, and then hell is, well, if you guys are on my channel, you know who hell is. So a wink. That's also where the word helmet came from as well. So yeah. So in a sense, you're if dreams are like death and the underworld and otherworld and the fluxiness and all of that, then you're kind of donning Hellcapes.
Just night, Alvine. It's just a little bit more to that kind of feeling that that there is an underworld traveling going on with regards to dreaming. Yeah. Scrolling up for questions. Flying ointments are naturally created, sourced salves, usually with beeswax, but not always, that have herbs in them that are designed to elevate your emotional, spiritual, psychological awareness, raise your energy, raise your vibration. Most frequently, but not always, most frequently they start from the place of poison. So there'll be belladonna, or there'll be oh god, what's the white flowered one, the datura, or that one. There, it is possible to get non-poison path ones if you like against that, but as long as you are working with somebody who knows what they're doing with regards to the poison.
Don't just like go make your own, not knowing your like. I don't recommend.
Don't poison yourself. Disclaimer: do not poison yourself. Yeah. But I personally feel like the poison path is like this whole amazing journey thing, and flying ointments is a big part of it. And that is a change in consciousness, a change in state. And because you are changing your state, it's very much like changing your energy and state when you're dreaming or when you're in the other world, or both as one. And so the flying ointment can really be a benefit. But if you're against it for whatever reason, and no judgment, like whatever you want to do, there are non poison ones, and mugwort is a big one for a lot of people.
Yeah, mugwort is definitely one of the most popular used, I think. You might ask what I'm rubbing on myself. Why, I'm rubbing one of Joey's oils. And it's a special made one. It's Otherworld.
You can't have it.
Which you can't read. Yeah, you can't get it. It's mine. But she does have a wonderful smudge in that scent as well, and it's awesome. And it's good for like being in that fluxy way and extending yourself out. It might be a good one for something like this as well. That's why I put it on. I'm like, oh, that kind of, that works. But yeah, I do hear mugwort is used a lot.
And people can smoke mugwort, so that's another thing.
Yes. Stuff smells like weed to me anyway. But also a lot of people, and then Rita's like, Mary Jane, exactly, is good to use in flying ointments. So, not all of them have to be that way though. Like, I've heard of some people making some very gentle ones, like very gentle, and it having a lot of really good effects for them as well. You kind of have to figure out.
You could go down like a lavender-based thing, couldn't you? Because that gets you into a dreamy, sleepy place anyway. So if you wanted to go like a lavender route, you could probably do that.
Or valerian and stuff like that too.
So where were we at? Scrolling up. The wolf dream from Melinda. I was being chased by a mob into a forest when a wolf guided me through it, and when I lost him, a beautiful white wolf drew me out towards a different, more ethereal village. The village was a symbol of my new path as a witch after leaving Christianity and praying to the God of the universe for what was right for me. It took a little while for me to realize it. That's my story. I would also say that's elements of yourself, like your shadow and your light, but because whilst I am kind of I always like to challenge like you're only shadow and light, and these are two polar things because I think they all flow into one another. It is representative within your dream of different elements of yourself, And like there was a little period of being lost in the forest, and then you guide yourself back out to your truth. So there's an element of you guiding yourself there too.
Also, it's interesting that it's a white wolf too, because like, okay, so my main animal is a wolf, if in case nobody knows that by now.
Really,
and
wolfy?
there is, yes. So there is something to the color of the wolf, a lot of people say as well. For me, it's gray, which is very appropriate. They're kind of the in-between. The black wolves are said to be a lot more physical and like tangible in things. My niece is one, and that's true. And then the white wolf in the other end would be more spirit form. So that even makes sense in the sense of this when you're talking about, you know, Christianity and this ethereal village, like that word ethereal, you know, and the being a spirit wolf, you know what I mean? That just kind of flows in really well with it. So yeah, I agree with what you said, and it being like the duality there.
So coffee ointments, hey?
Coffee ointments.
My coffee talks to me anyway.
Yeah. Rita says I look like a wolfie.
Do I look like a fox?
I am fuzzy.
Do I look like a fox? I need some ears. I need some fox ears, and I can be like, do I look like a fox?
You do. I'm gonna have to look. Like, we're gonna get off the chat, and Chris is gonna be like, Google fox ears for England.
Yeah.
Coffee is used in lotions and shampoos nowadays. Yeah, coffee is used in a lot of stuff because of the caffeine. Isn't it also used in toners? I want to say toners. I think because the caffeine and like tightening.
Yeah, and then like hair loss stuff. If you need like hair growth and stuff, they use the caffeine for that. Hey, Wolf Raven. So we're just talking about dream walking and dream work. If you have just joined us, do we want to talk a little bit more about moon phases and dreams, because we kind of mentioned it and then didn't talk about it?
We can. Sure.
So
I'm down for that.
I honestly beginning to think that because I am so new moon, dark moon, because those are the times I love. Like I talk about the new moon and dark moon. I'm like, that for me is when Morrigan is walking with bare feet, is around that time of the month. It's my favorite time of the month. I love it. And I sleep better at that time of the month, because when it's the full moon, I'm same as Chris. I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm under the weight of a tree or something. Like, and everything, it just makes me very tired. But my sleep is disturbed around the new moon as well, because of the new moon energies and everything. But I really honestly feel like maybe a lot of my really big spiritual dreams come to me at like new moon, dark moon time. And maybe because I just naturally fall there anyway.
I think for me, when some of my biggest spiritual moments, I'll say it that way, not necessarily dreams, but moments, come during new moon. I'm usually wired during the new moon, and I want to do stuff, and I'm feeling like extra witchy. I've got my cards out, I'm doing all kinds of things on my altar. Like, that's the time that I'm like inspired the most.
Although last full moon I got fully inspired, which is odd for me, but yeah.
This last new moon was weird too, since we're mentioning that. Like this last new moon was like opposite.
Well, I had a really good new moon, but a lot of people had a bad new moon.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people were like, screw this last new moon. I was like, really? My new moon, I was all pumped.
My last new moon, I just wish I didn't have to people. And I'd have been fine. That was how the new moon was for me.
I was poison pathing again last new moon. I was like, along the edges, along the boundaries, like that. I was like, oh, I love it. I love it so much. And I was like poison pathing everything up on last new moon. It was great. Ah, that's interesting. Rita, when I had a monthly cycle, my flow brought prophetic dreams. That's interesting. Well, they say your energy shifts when you're on your sorry guys.
Yeah.
Sorry men. But when you're menstruating, it says your energy grounds quickly and like everything is like down into the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do go into an underworld space, maybe you're just like naturally rooted around your period and you just like boom, like straight down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can look at some of the old traditions of literally bleeding into the earth. Just like setting down and bleeding into the earth and the connection that creates. I mean, that's pretty rooted. That's pretty release, pretty, like wound pain depth.
Plus, it's like life and death when you think about it, because menstruation is basically the end result of that fertility. So it's like, oh, well, that has passed to a place of death. So then you menstruate. So then that connects death through you to the underworld. So Demeter is my matron goddess, but her daughter Persephone is the underworld goddess for half the year. So we were talking about that, and I've been working with Persephone this last week for sets for someone else. But they keep turning up all over the place, those two, a lot lately. A lot.
Persephone was one of the first goddesses that I ever worked with. So I have like a sweet spot for Persephone. So I used to squat in my garden to bleed on the soil once a month. Old Native American tradition. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh.
I would bleed 3 weeks out of the month and have a week of rest. Jeez.
Stress can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Hecate is their grandmother. Oh.
Rita, are you Italian? Because that triple is used in Strega a lot.
Don't say Hades. Don't say Hades. I'll get stalked again. I love how dreams give us so much depth of insight into origins, feminine, spiritual, etc. From Melinda. It's interesting that I said this earlier, but I think we're just so much more receptive in dream state.
I'm sorry. Rita's response is the best because, okay, look, Rita, I married an Italian as well, and I also use that joke. For those of you who can't read the chat, her reply was, no, honey, but I married one, so I get a little Italian in me from time to time. Well played.
Well played. I'm going to remember that for future reference.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the joke.
Hades in my curtain. Yes, Liz. Hades was in my curtain. Like, Chris has got that photograph. If we wanted to, we could pull it up. It is the creepiest thing ever. I was like, Hades is in my curtains right now. Yeah. Are there any more questions? I mean, I can make points and we can move on, but I was just wondering if there were any more questions to talk about dreaming and dream working. Because I thought we could talk about like dream dictionary and symbols and how rubbish they are.
Hell yeah. I would love to talk about that. Definitely.
Just wondered if there were any more questions before we kind of boogie on down. Hey, Madam Luna.
Okay.
Should we just go on to that? Okay, let's just
move on to that. And if we get questions, we can address them. But yeah. So dream dictionary stuff. I mean, like, they're great in theory when you're beginning to get like an idea for how you're gonna adapt to those things. However, it's not law. And your brain is what you're working with.
I am the law.
Yes. Thumps giant dream dictionary down on the ground. No. No, but your brain is yours, and you work in a different way than other people. So not everybody is going to have the same experiences with, say, let's just talk about animals for a second, with all animals.
Mm.
There are people who are terrified of dogs, and then there are people that love dogs. Do you think the people that are terrified of dogs are going to first think of loyalty when they think of dogs? No, they're not.
No.
They're not. They're going to think teeth and attack and maybe aggression.
Mm.
So that's why I like to talk about my dreams to other people, because when I have to say it out loud, I can tell the words that I'm using to describe it. And those words, or even phrases sometimes it'll be in, will tell me exactly what they mean to me. Like they'll explain to you what, like, you will explain to yourself essentially what your context is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Night, Alan.
No.
Or, well, good day.
Good sleeps.
He works nights.
Good sleeps and dreams. Yeah, so I always loved dream analysis for other people, and people used to come to me a lot for dream analysis, especially as in like my teen years. Like the other girls would like want to hear my analysis of dreams a lot. And I think there's an element of the seer being in that again, because you can see beyond what they're seeing in the imagery. But there is so much of a personal symbology that comes to the fore with dreamings, and because dreams are important to us individually, if you like, the idea of, right, well, this means this and that means that, kind of, it's like, again, it's something that me and Cris have talked about quite a bit, that we don't like the idea of putting things in boxes and saying that this is what this means.
The only time I like the idea of putting things in boxes is when I'm moving.
I thought you were going to be dirty, but okay.
No. It's when I move, because it's easier to carry all the shit at once. That's the only time. And
it's such there's such a rigidity with things like dreams, and they dream journals sell like hotcakes, like seriously. But
they do.
I don't think I've ever read one that's like, well, this is some ideas, but go your own way with it.
I like the fact that, like, I just picture myself in this alternate universe being like, I dreamt of a snake. Let's go see what that means. And being like, oh, serpentine, being untrustworthy because of, the lying and the fucking, and all this shit. And like, I'm just like, that's so weird. I thought it meant Kundalini. And then like walking away. Like,
that's the next video. Let's just record us doing that about dream interpretation.
Shucks.
We can take it in turns and be like, oh look, I had a fox in my dream. What, you mean that's trickster and you mean that's lying? Oh, I thought it meant it was a part of my soul and one of those really wonderful animals that travels across the hedge and learns to shapeshift and represents the Morrigan because he's a nighttime howler. But never mind.
Yeah, but this says this, so we'll go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Books can be handy. They can be good for compare and contrast. To get a sort of idea or like a starting place to go with to jog how you feel about it. Because I mean, like, so that snake thing I was talking about, if I looked at the book and the book was saying all of that, I would instantly be conscious of how I was reacting emotionally and be like, oh, okay, so it's something else for me because that's not it. Okay, so what else is it? So it's a good place to start, but it's not a good place to end.
So Liz said it can be a valuable resource for newbies who need a point in the right direction, but I think that meanings change from person to person because we have a different perception. So what I am going to say about that is I often wonder if we don't baby newbies too much. Like, do all newbies really need everything like given to them before they're taught to critical think? Wouldn't we be better off teaching newbies to critical think first? I wonder about that. I'm not saying anybody's right or anybody's wrong, but like, I'm naturally critical minded. Like, that's how I've always been. I've always argued with the text in front of me. Like at school, I used to do it. And so when somebody says something spiritually, if I'm like, where is this coming? And that's my mind. And I wonder if just like it's kind of basically saying, well, just because somebody's new to a spiritual path, they can't critical think.
So my issue with this is in that context, it implies that critical thinking is like a hard, rough, tough lesson. And it's not a pain in the ass to do. It's actually like a quite natural flow if you just like let go. You already flow there if you are able to let go. And that is a control thing. That is learning with time. And I understand, so that might make it harder in the beginning. However, I don't think that it's like, you know, oh, well, on this side we're babying them or coddling them, and this side, you know, we're cracking them over the hand with a ruler. You know what I'm saying? Like, critical thinking isn't that. Critical thinking is fundamental, in my opinion, to being on a spiritual path, especially one like paganism, where you're kind of exploring all kinds of different things.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you'd hope that most people who were coming to it were critical minded anyway, but
yeah, it's like anyone can read a book, but critical thinking is going, anyone can also write a book. Exactly. Anyone can also write that book. And so there's another book out there somewhere that is the exact opposite of this, and they probably have the same experience. So ultimately, yes, we've gathered this knowledge, but where does it sit with me? How do I feel about this? One of the quotes that I loved, and I'm going to butcher it, but it was like, question everything. Even if I myself have said it, question everything. And that's like where you start to me.
I'm your backup dancer. So Rita was like, Chris is on point. I recommend to listen to Joey as well. Yeah, thanks.
and you. It's okay.
I'll just cry in the corner.
I also recommend Joey.
Avalon. Avalon says critical thinking and common or not so common sense are pretty damn similar, in my opinion. Yes.
Where is that? I don't even see that yet. Oh, there it is. It's at the very bottom.
Yes. Common sense is one of these things, though, because common sense is kind of based on generally accepted truths. And I think we have to be careful with common sense, because some people can say, like, oh, well, your spiritual experience is bullshit because common sense dictates that you were just high on cheese while you were dreaming that dream.
I want to be high on cheese for the rest of my life.
So,
like, if I could be high on something, it would be cheese.
So there are people who use like a common sense rationale to sort of degrade spirituality. And I have said before, like, I think real magic comes to the point where you believe something to the point of madness, because you believe something so desperately that it has no choice but to manifest. And to like a common sense perspective, that can seem strange. So we do tend to shift our perceptions a little bit with regards to common sense. So I think we have to be careful, because we can critical think and too much. We should absolutely critical think, but at the same time, we all believe something that we effectively would have trouble proving to some who would be more critically minded than. And even when we take like a scientific approach to spirituality and magic, which people do, and I've said, you know, that I feel like the idea that magic is a form of science and a form of art at one time is how I feel about it. There's like a meshing between science and art that magic is, but we still like that mystery. We still like that element of the unknown because it gives it something. It's like that feeling that you can't fully describe, but it's there, and it's like, oh, and when your spell comes to fruition in the most random way, and you see all the synchronicities, and you have that moment.
It's again where, like, you know, like guides love to be cryptic because it means more when you actually get the message. Like
well,
that mystery.
It's on you, yeah. Yeah. It's on you to figure it out, yeah.
Yes, it means being practically aware. Huh. So, hey Vivid, thanks for joining us. Yes, cheese. Cheese gets you high, apparently.
Cheese. Well, you know, depends what's in the cheese.
Right. Ooh. All right. Ancestor candle, kicking it up. It's like off screen to the side, but here.
Man. Oh, hey ancestors. Now I can feel them. What's going on?
Mm-hmm. They're like...
I've got all the hairs on my arm just stood up as like a load of hands touched on my arm.
Like I saw it out the corner of my eye and I'm like, what?
Have we got messages from the other side? Hello, it's me.
I'm not pulling out the cards and doing an ancestral reading on everybody, guys. No. Okay, so Theosophy's here. Do y'all think it's okay to use the Aboriginal religion / magics? Well, I'm not an Aussie and neither are you.
No.
But
okay, so we're basically talking about appropriation of magic. So we can touch on that, but I don't have any, as far as I'm aware, I don't have any Aboriginal blood in this particular family line. But I guess that's why the ancestors are getting involved for this kind of answer for this kind of question. So appropriation is a difficult subject. I think that if people are culturally appropriating things and they're not holding it sacred, that's a problem. So people who wear like Aboriginal or who wear tribal jewelry or makeup or headdresses and they wear it for like clubbing, that to me is like disrespectful, because it is taking something from a place of spirit and using it as a fashion accessory, and that to me is cultural appropriation, and that is a problem because it's kind of like a disrespect. It's kind of like, I'm going to take what you see as sacred and wear it on my head because I can, and it's like, but you have no idea about the meaning or the feeling. But if we're talking about deep spiritual path working, then presumably for most people, when you enter a place of spirituality, you have a deep reverence for what you're doing. You have a deep connection to what you're doing for the most part. And because on some level, your soul is telling you that this speaks to you. Maybe it's a past life thing. You don't know, maybe. But if you're going about it in a place of spirit and your heart and your soul are in the right place, then it doesn't feel as appropriating to me, because it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
I wouldn't.
Go on.
I'm waiting.
Go on. Shout at me. I'm gonna go. Just.
No. I'm not. I'm not gonna shout at the fox. I was just gonna say. So with the native stuff that I grew up with, like this whole topic is a very like touchy thing anyway. A lot of people get really heated over it. My thing is for things like that are very indigenous, the ancestors tend to be really strong in that, and the elders in general, the wisdom holders. And my thing is like, if you're doing it in a respectful way, like, you know, all the stuff you're saying, but also if they come to you in dreams and they start telling you this shit, go with it. Like, be respectful, do your fucking research, whatever you can, contact someone in the community if you can, try to talk to them respectfully again. But if spirit is knocking down your door to do stuff, because that has happened, then I feel like that's something else entirely as well. But if you're like, this seems really cool, and I'm gonna like just start doing this stuff.
That doesn't feel
That's not really
and sacred to me, though. Yeah.
And again, I'm not Aussie, so I don't know the specifics of the Aboriginal religions and you know, that kind of thing. I know that they've had a lot taken from them, and they've been on the downswing of a lot of oppression.
Mm-hmm.
Or the downswing, whatever, you know what I'm saying.
Mm.
So, you know, and I'm not very well versed on them specifically. So, from Avalon's answer, which is, I'm an Aussie and I would say no, plus it's secret, they don't tell you anything. They don't tell you anything, it being secret would mean it was classified as a closed religion.
So from that point, I would say no.
Is a big part of that. If it's a closed religion, then
no.
Yeah, you have to have respect. You have to be in that knit group.
Yeah. I would respect tradition in that sense if it's a closed one. Yeah. What time do you need to go, Cris? Because I know you're on a schedule.
We're actually good until, let's see, it's almost 9 here now. I can do another 30 easily, because the thing that I was going to do, I'm not, but I do have to leave at 9:30 because I have to take my husband to work.
Sure. Okay. Have you ever tried reading in a dream? The words are always jumbled and I can't make sense of them. That was Dawn. I can't remember reading in a dream, but I remember writing in dreams. But I can't remember it ever being garbled. Maybe it's a thing. I don't know. Again.
Oh, I'm still in the lineage thing. I'm reading the rest of the chat on that. Yeah. Well, okay. So Rita was like, you know, I'm part Cherokee and part Irish. I work with my mom, Brigitte. Like all kinds of blend-in stuff. And then half my family is Black. Like, so another part of this that I want to talk about too is like when I say ancestors as well, I also mean like the overall ancestors and the fact that we essentially all came from like fucking amoeba. So there is that element of where like ultimately we all kind of blend together.
Yep.
And we are all kind of related. So yeah, there's that. But again, like with it, when it comes to this topic, like I feel like it's very situationally specific. Each person is different. Each group that they work with is different. Even within the tribes, there are different organizations within those tribes, and they will all feel differently from time to time. So it's situational. I don't think there's one overarching yes or no answer to just always, like stamp on it.
As always. The other thing about this is we have to be so careful, because when we're talking about blood, it's so easy for like the racist angle to get involved, because I have been told like I'm not allowed to work with the goddess Morrigan because I'm not Irish. And I'm like, well, firstly, that's a huge assumption on everybody else's part, because you don't know what my bloodline is, because I don't tend to say. And let's face it, most people in the UK have got a weird mesh, at least in the UK, but probably everywhere because we've been invaded so much. And I'm half Welsh, which is Celtic as well. And the Celts weren't just in Ireland. So a lot of the time, a lot of misinformation comes in with this. Like the Celts never traveled, they never invaded, they never like married outside of Ireland. Really?
Right.
Really? And the problem with this is that we have to be super careful, because we have to find levels of respect in all of this, because I absolutely agree with respecting Aborigines who have a closed religion, and that's their decision and their tradition. And that's a very living thing. There's a living dead thing here as well, because a lot of the Celtic religions, they're not dead because they live on through paganism, but it's not like a current thing, where presumably Aboriginal religions are very much living right now in the hearts and minds of tribes who are closed off right now. So it's almost like after these religions, inverted commas, have passed into the other world, passed into the underworld with regards to like the Celtic things, they then are allowed to be reborn and evolve. So because the ancient way of the Celts sort of died off, and then went into an underworld space, and then they have been reborn for like a new generation, and those gods have come forward in a new sense. So it's almost like there's a difference between those religions who have been through a rebirthing process to those that are very much living in a closed off environment right now. Perhaps.
Yeah, I like that explanation. Avalon says, Chris, I'm totally distracted by your super yummy background. So much awesome. I just want to jump into the screen and touch everything.
Well, Chris has a video explaining everything in her background.
I do. There's a video called Show and Tell. What's in my background? And I have the picture of me being like, not quite that extreme, but where I just like went live and had people ask me about all this crap back here. So but I'm probably going to do another too, because we didn't even start to cover all of it.
Wolf Raven also says people have even get ugly about spirit animals. Yes, they do.
They do. Yeah. I tend to not always say that I'm a wolf, because wolf is one of those ones that everybody jumps to.
I tend not to say I'm a fox, because everyone's like, that means you're a deceptive bitch. Okay.
Well, see, that's their Rolodex that they're working with.
That's their shadow on their face. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I tend not to, because wolf is one of the main ones that people tend to come to, whether it is or it isn't. Maybe it's just a popular one. There's a lot of wolves. I don't know, but I mean, we run in packs, but you know, either way, it happens a lot. So anytime someone's like, "What's your animal?" I'm like, "All right, look." See. Also, like, we can have multiples, by the way.
Yeah. I have my ancestors came to me as wolves because I didn't know what they looked like, and that was to do with the disconnect. It's also because some of my ancestry. But they came to me in wolf form, and that's not because I am a wolf myself, but because the ancestors chose to come to me in that form initially.
Yeah. My wolf actually runs in my family, and a lot of the women are wolves. And so when Joey said wolves, I'm like, well, have you thought about maybe it's like your ancestors or something? And then that was like a whole waterfall flow that you went down. Yeah.
Yeah. As is usually the case when we're like, well, have you thought of it this way? Bum. That's our chats in private.
Pretty much. It's a lot like our chats on here.
Pretty much exactly the same, except for you guys get involved. I get very touchy. My father was native. He passed. They called him Wolf. He called me Little Wolf. So there's that. Wolf Raven. Are they women who run with the wolves?
Ha ha! No, these women are the wolves.
You challenged her. She gave.
Bam! Snap back. No.
Sterling, I think I mentioned before. Someone said I could be on the path because someone couldn't. Okay, I know about this story, Sterling. So somebody has told Sterling that she can't be on the Celtic path because she's black. And she had actually done a DNA test, like you've done a DNA test, and she has black, Irish, British, Native, Asian, and all sorts. So at this point in our evolution, we're all interrelated. Like we are all interrelated.
Our mitochondrial DNA, and you can hear more about this in my ancestral work course, located on www.chrisashburn.com. But
that's the second placement product we've done in this video.
Bam. So, so all mitochondrial DNA can be traced back. And there is something called a mitochondrial Eve. And Eve is actually 6 key hominid women that have made us all. So if you think about all of us coming from the beginning of 6 women, we're pretty fucking blended. Just saying.
Dragon Iris, have you ever worked with or know anything about Sante de Muerte? I have been drowned in sugar skulls and the like of as of late. And Rita says to be careful with her, make sure you pay proper respects and offerings. All bad shit happens.
I dig Muerte. I don't work with her. I don't know a whole lot about her, but she is one of those ones where like her energy, it's kind of like a tip of the hat respect. And I have that with a lot of different like pantheons and things like that. Papa Legba is another one that I'm like, you know what? I don't work with you, dude, but
yeah, I
like your style, and I get you, like, respect.
I've made 2 sets for Sante de Muerte. I was very hesitant the first time because it was so outside of the field of things that I usually do. Because it's a very different culture to the culture that I have immersed myself in, the culture that I am brought up in. I haven't even traveled to that part of the world, whereas like some of the other places in the world I have traveled to. So I was super hesitant the first time someone asked me, but I was like, no, okay, we can do it. And it was forthcoming. And there was this, I had this meditation, and it was this whole carnival of like people throwing rice. And I actually like wrote it down and went and like after I went and read about it, and it was a thing. There was something about rice offerings and things like that, and it was a thing. And there was a lot of color. There was a lot of interesting synchronicities. So the thing about Sante de Muerte is she has many colored shrouds, which Chris
she does. Oh, my bad.
And the different colored shrouds kind of tend to associate with different elements of her energy. And what I found out about Sante de Muerte is that a lot of people consider her a very motherly goddess, even though she's a death goddess, and she takes care of the broken, the lost, the down and out, the people that are lost. So she does have this caring mother death feel, which is very much like Hel in Chris's path, and it associates with other death goddesses as well. There is a very rich culture that I couldn't tell you much more about. I know there's a tobacco. I know Sante de Muerte likes sweets because it's one of the favorite things that I read about her, that she wants sweeties on her altar, god damn it, so give her sweets. And I was like, that's amazing. That's what I would do if I was a goddess. I would like sweeties on my altar.
Bring me all the candy.
Bring me caramel to my altar now. So there's definitely that looks after the broken, looks after the lost, and it has a mother aspect to her. She's also kind of a broad, expansive goddess from what I've read, that she has many different elements and aspects that are petitioned to her, because that tradition tends to petition their goddess a lot more. Like do petitions for this and offerings. It's an interesting, very interesting way of approaching deity that focuses very much on offerings and petitions. And there's that interesting balance there with Sante de Muerte between offering and receiving. So you have to give of yourself to receive something.
I think that's important anyway. Like,
it is,
in general, like don't just be asking for shit and not giving anything.
That's a little bit like what we've said about Demeter and Persephone, though. You have to give of yourself to receive something.
There's a trade.
Yeah.
I want to say, Madame Luna says, I think that's the way to walk this path with grace. I don't know you well or work with you, but I respect you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's see. And you just might be thankful as heck a few months down the road when that particular deity pops up to work with you and is like, remember me?
I had Sante Muerte in my bedroom last night, just by the by.
Oh, well, there you go.
It was to do with the matters of respect, because I wanted to speak to her about a matter of respect. And it's a largely personal circumstance, and I'm not going to go into details, but I did have a conversation with her about what respect means to her. and how I felt that she was being disrespected. So there was that. So it's kind of synchronistic that someone's brought it up today in its way, because honor and respect are paramount pillars of spirituality as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
You cannot disrespect and not expect something. You cannot expect blowback if you are like being disrespectful in your spirituality, no matter where that comes from. It will come.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Wolf Ravenhampton. When I said I get touchy, I meant to people who get really ugly about people that appear fully white, saying they have a spirit animal. My mother was very much Irish, the Kelly clan.
Well, Cris looks white as white can be.
I'm pretty fucking pale. But I am also basically Plymouth Rock personified. I am native. English and native.
Yeah.
And I grew up dancing in powwows and being judged for that because I look very white. And I mean, it's a reality. Unfortunately, people judge with their eyes first. But I gotta tell you, I wouldn't take back going. I learned a lot about my history. I got to sit with a lot of elders and learn a lot of things. And I'm still honored to have been able to dance in those circles.
Now it's so vivid.
Oh, Avalon's leaving.
Oh, night, Avalon. So now it's so vivid. Joey, I had a question for you regarding my work with my deity. I don't consider him my patron. He's more of a brethren god. That's how I describe it. Have you ever heard of this? All right, let me think. Give me a second. Brethren.
Well, I think Thor a lot of times comes off sort of as more of a brother. I've heard of people having that kind of relationship with him.
The thing that came to my mind, is it like a brother thing because it has come through your family line, like others in your family at some point have had a connection to this god? Not even for centuries, but maybe along your ancestor line somewhere, like your clan, your tribe, your family have. Yeah, I'm getting shivers all over my body. So maybe it's at some point during your ancestor line, people have worked with him, and then it becomes god of your brethren.
She continued it and said, or is it a relationship you have heard of before? Because I often associate my matron-patron thing as a parental, and that isn't the vibe I'm getting. Just to finish that up.
The thing about matron or patron is that I realize that I talk about Morrigan as Mama Morrigan, but that is more to do with me than it is to do with her. Like, some people come at me for calling her that. And the reason I call Morrigan Mama Morrigan is because she's the mother that I never had. And she's not motherly in the tender boo-boo sense. She's not. She's like, I will pull you up by your bootstraps and you will do this and we are going to do this and up. And Morrigan is very much like that. So even though I call her my mother and she's kind of like the mother I always wanted, that she's an inspiration and a fighter and a warrior and all of that good stuff, it comes from a place of wounding because I never had a mother relationship that was healthy. So when I call Morrigan Mama Morrigan, it's about me and healing that wound and my relationship with deity. It's not necessarily that I always relate to her as if she is my mother figure. Sometimes her and I have like giggle at each other and I'll call her a badass. Sometimes she's screaming her head off at me, telling me off, and so she takes on many roles. She's a teacher. She's a goddess. So she's not a mother. She's more than that. She's beyond these things. So the kind of energy you're getting is more about maybe where you need to be in terms of what you need to do work-wise. And what you need
in that moment too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to say, okay, so everyone assumes that because I mention Odin alongside Hecate and Hel, that Odin is my patron. And I would not necessarily call Odin my patron. Odin is more of like a grandfather sort of figure. And that is something in terms of my lineage that maybe I'll go into one day on here. But today is not the day. But he is more of a grandfather. So essentially I have Hel and Hecate first and foremost. And they fulfill two very different roles to me. They are both what some might call my matrons, but they are not. They're not both mothers to me necessarily. Hecate and Hel both can shift to more of a grandmother sometimes too. They can shift to a sister sometimes, especially Hel. It depends. It depends what I'm needing in that moment. It depends what I need in that situation. It depends how I'm feeling, the approach maybe that needs to be taken. Everyone's always searching for this ultimate like mother, father, matron, patron, but that's not always what it is. That's not always what you need. And that's also not always a case even. Some people are pantheists, and how do you explain that? So
I'm going to see if I can find what I wrote about Morpheus for you. So I did some work with Morpheus. And I'm going to read to you what I wrote, if I wrote some stuff down. If I didn't, oh no, I didn't write it down. Okay, there is a video on my channel. If you go to my channel after we're done and you look for Morpheus, there's a Morpheus spell set. You can ignore that, that's fine. But I talk in depth about how I felt about Morpheus. So there's a whole video where I talk about it, about him, if you want to hear my thoughts about Morpheus specifically. If you haven't seen that, it is there. Oh, it's your spell set. Well, there you go then. Never mind then. Never mind, you already know. But yeah, well, I did wonder, but I didn't want to assume. I
heard sounds. I didn't know who it was.
I watch that video every month. Aww. I have a question for you both, but Joey might know a bit more, and I don't know if it's off topic, but is it odd that I see Babe in her maiden form and Macha in her crone form in all my dreams and meditations? No. Morrigan is a
I tend to think of Babe in a... Yeah.
Babe has come to me in her sexy maiden form more times than her Babe. That's what I tend to think
of her as, honestly.
There's
when I first think it.
Yeah. There's a picture in my Morrigan album on my Facebook, if you're on my Facebook. And I'm like, Babe has showed up like this, except she has bright red lips. And it's like a white-haired maiden with like white eyes, but she's like busty and buxom and sexy. And it's like almost glamour almost, but not quite. And she's shown up like that. And she's shown up half decayed, and she's showed up everything in between. But Babe has shown up to me and been like, death is sexy, right? And that kind of thing. And people get really angry at me for this, but I'm like, whatever. And I know that Eric Silvermoon drew Babe, and he drew her more tomboyish, but he drew her as a maiden. That's how he sees her as well. And for Babe, it's very much in between. She likes to move. She likes to defy expectation. She likes to shift. And I think that ties back to what we were saying a bit about the Morpheus and the energies that you're getting. The gods like to play with expectation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hel. Going back to that. So Hel has been known to change her appearance to test you on purpose.
Oh, yeah,
like
Morgan too. Yep.
She's gonna come to you in the most gangly, maggoty, rotting corpse thing that she can in your face, just to see if you can look at her and see the truth. If you can look at her and see the beauty, see the humanity, even have compassion where compassion isn't necessarily freely given. And yeah, they're known to shapeshift, so that doesn't surprise me. I mean,
that's on purpose, playing with your eyes, playing on the way that you are seeing and shape and how you can get your head around it. The first time the Morrigan showed up to me in full manifestation, I thought it was a dude. I thought it was a masculine god, or a messenger for the Morrigan is what I thought. And because it was she showed up cloaked with like a feather cloaked on, but it was broad, like masculine broad, with like a feather mask down over, and all I could see the lips moving underneath, but I couldn't see the face, and the voice sounded male. And I realized it was the Morrigan, and that was a test. So it could be a test thing quite easily.
Okay. Rita says, I have found that if I follow my instincts without worrying about why I vibe with certain deities or spirits, I get confirmation later, and many times, decades later, get confirmation.
Listening to soul.
Mm-hmm.
Soul knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm totally wearing a Duff Clock shirt. Madam Luna noticed that.
I've got
this is actually...
I've got crows and skulls on. Look, crows and skulls.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that dress.
Boobs in your face. That's what you all came here for, don't lie.
Yes, I mean, if they go watch the What's in My Background video, it's like half boob. Let's see. Yeah. No, we're good. All right. So, any other questions you guys got? Anything about dream work, dreams, anything
Melinda
that's not about it at all?
Tits for the win. Melinda says, today I felt urgency about sharing spiritual knowledge about dreams, and later I couldn't sleep, and this happened to be while you were both live about this very topic. Do you have any advice? Thank you. I'm glad you like my shirt. I do too.
Urgency sharing spiritual knowledge about dreams.
There have been times that I've felt called to speak, and Chris is going to know all about this, that when the deities are like, it is time for you to speak, then know. Chris is going through something that I went through a couple of years ago.
I can totally talk about that because I feel like that would probably help. So I'm basically being instructed to sing more, to do spoken word stuff, to use my voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I am terrified of singing in front of people. Even though I'm like classically trained in all this shit, it's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And hell is pushing me right now.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be surprised if you guys see something like that start popping up. I mean, if you've been on my Facebook thing, I've started sharing little pieces of stuff that I'm channeling from her, and like little written things that I usually tuck away somewhere are now going onto the page a little bit at a time.
That's why I shared my singing from a couple of years ago. If you're on my Facebook as well, I was like Chris, yeah. I've been there. I know. So if you feel like the gods are like, do it now, then do it now. I mean, or if you don't do it now, then you might find yourself without a choice, or you might find that an opportunity is missed, but it will definitely come round again. If you miss it, opportunities do tend to go, maybe not in the same form, but they do tend to come around
spirals.
Again. Yeah. I have a question that might be a little far-fetched, but I'm super curious of your opinions on this. High-pitched frequencies randomly here and there. Do you get them? Yes or no? What do you think they are? I get them. If you mean high-pitched noises.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get them, and I think it's clairaudience.
Yeah, I have two things. So one, I think that a lot of times that like steady high one that's like there for a long time is the actual fucking energy. Like it's the frequency of the energy that we're hearing, period.
Yep.
But I also get this like really loud, like the ringing in your ear that like makes your ear go out.
Yeah, I get the high squeak. I get the high scream.
That happens when I, like, for instance, visit a house that's very old and there's a lot of activity there. Someone will try to be talking in my ear, and that's what I get. I get this freaking ringing, and then my ear goes out, and I'm like, okay.
Rita says my high-pitched squeak is from elf waves emitted by electronics and cell towers.
ELF.
Yes.
Voice if I'm if it helps. Well, thank you, Melinda, for the compliment on the voice. Barefoot helps with anything with me. Like, I would just always be barefoot if that was my choice.
That was me as a teenager. I used to walk everywhere barefoot, and people used to look at me like I was crazy.
Let's see. Yeah, electronic low frequencies. ELF. Yeah, I hate shoes. I hate them. I used to wear, so I moved up here to Ohio where it snows. I used to live in the South. And I am that person, I'm that bitch, that it'll be snow on the ground and I'll be trying to wear flip-flops because I'm just stubborn. Because I just don't want to wear shoes.
Joey, I have an off-topic Morrigan question. Why all of a sudden in some groups people are only calling her herself?
What?
I'm not sure what you mean. What are they calling They're just calling Morrigan literally herself, and you're not allowed to call her anything else. Is that what you? Okay. The thing about groups is groups can get nasty on speed on crack, and they can. It's not good. Like,
yeah,
there are a lot of groups, and it happens with all walks of life, not just paganism.
Well, it's also a trait of humanity, that herd mentality thing. When you get a certain group of people together,
and there's a one-upmanship. There is a one-upmanship in a lot of these spiritual groups where it's like, well, my word is better than your word, and I can prove it. Blah, 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 blah. And I that's why I have nothing to do with groups like that, because every time I even try thinking maybe this will be a valuable, no, never mind, I'm out. Like, to be honest, I would not put faith. If anyone is telling you anything like that, right? If anyone is telling you, it doesn't matter if it's Morrigan or it doesn't matter who it is, if they're telling you this is the right way, God damn it, run in the opposite direction 100 miles. Because the minute somebody is telling you that their brand of real is real and they're selling you their brand of real for whatever reason, run in the opposite direction, because it's bullshit. And I will say it, I will swear on chat, it is bullshit.
You heard it there, folks. Joey Morris, it's bullshit.
Because it is. It's the real witch thing. It's the only way of working with Morrigan. It's the only way of interpreting myth.
We need to start our hashtag that we do.
Hashtag real witch. Hashtag herbs on the floor. So I'm going to explain it. So me and Chris have decided that hashtag herbs on the floor is what a real witch does, because people are like, oh, well, I'm a real witch. I've got herbs all over my floor or whatever. And it was just kind of like a running joke. So
yeah, and then she texted me a picture of like 2 bottles of herbs on the floor. Do it. And so then I texted her a picture of like my abalone shell with a sage thing in it on my like dirty dining room table, and I was like, hashtag real witches.
Yeah. There is no one way of practicing. There is no one way of seeing. There is no one way of interpreting. And I think that ties into the dream work as well, that we've already said. Yeah. There is not one way.
I feel like this entire conversation was about perspectives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And dream work is a good way to do that.
And dream work is almost a mirror of that, because you cannot go outside of yourself and get someone to tell you verbatim what your dreams mean, because it's a personal internal process.
Oh yeah,
down off my soapbox.
So now. Alex, Wonder Weirdness Witchcraft says, I will often get the high pitch when I call the archangels in. Not sure if you work with angels. I've also had it with spirit in general. So I've done like Akashic Records stuff, and I will get it a lot with that too, which is like the angelic realm sort of frequencies.
I'm coming down off my soapbox now, and I'll calm down.
No, you're not. You got others. You got backups. It's fine.
But yeah, I don't like.
I enjoy the fox soapbox.
Fox on a box. Fox on a box.
It's a fox on a box. I also saw where someone said to make a note of what you're doing.
Witch-splaining. Exactly. Witch-splaining. It's a thing. Yeah.
You know what? It's actually really funny, Luna, that you say that, because that's what he did. He's not feeling well, so that's why I'm still here. If you couldn't tell earlier, I checked my phone, and he actually texted me, and he's like, I called off, so just keep doing your thing.
I mean, I have to go on that half an hour. I have to go on the 30-minute because I have work to do, but we can stay here till then.
Yes.
Because I booked 2 hours like we normally do.
Yeah. No, I get it. That's understandable. You got things. And actually, I have things too, so it doesn't hurt.
I laughed because everyone fell in line with that, but I didn't. Lol. The thing... Yeah, I could go on about this. I've written blog posts for other people and for myself about this whole real witch or whatever it is. And like, I've had kickback because I've shared an evolutionary perspective of the Morrigan. I've had kickback because I've shared personal gnosis of the Morrigan, and because it's from my perspective. It's like I have gone out into the world and said, I know that it is not in the myth, but moths to me feel more organic because of the lessons I've had with them, because of the death shroud. I've just written about moths and like lessons of moths, and it was like death shroud and babe, and it all felt very synchronistic to me. But that's not in a book. But bear in mind, said the historian, that the myths that we do have are not intact. They are written down by Christian monks who are biased. A lot of them have been lost. And then we have reinterpreted them throughout time, and we have like translated them throughout time, and shit gets lost. And ultimately, they were written down by people.
Yeah. Everyone can write a book.
Yeah. This is why I'm solitary. Yeah.
Opinions.
I feel you. I want to connect.
I've been a blend, but like I blend with the people who I blend with. Like that sounds really redundant, but it's like the whole planting yourself in concrete thing that we've talked about in the past is like you plant yourself where you're going to grow in fertile soil. And I'm not going to put myself in a group where I don't feel that clicks. I mean, not only does that not work for me, but it also doesn't work for them either.
No.
So
that, for anybody who's confused, is because Chris was having a scenario and I came at Chris's face like this. Oh, no, not really.
And I was like, why are you touching my face like that?
I'm like, because you love it, because you love me touching your face. Anyway,
and then I heard
in a low wolf purr. That's the noise she makes when I touch her. That's it. That's why we're ending the video. Right, no.
Done.
So I was talking about planting yourself in concrete, because a lot of people, they try to plant themselves in concrete where they think they're supposed to fit, but they don't. And rather than go and looking for nurturing soil, which gives them room to breathe and think and grow, they try and plant themselves in concrete because they've been told, or they think that they should. And then they try and grow and they come up against concrete. Now, where do we sign up for face touches? That's on my other channel.
There was also brain licking on one of our chats as well.
There's random dirty comments all over all of our chats at some point.
No, because I was like, I just want to lick all of your beautiful brains. I am changing this lighting a little bit. There we go.
So I think a lot of the times spiritual groups actually, because they get hard-headed and it becomes concrete. A lot of these spiritual groups can easily, not always, but it can easily become concrete, because quite often with like group dynamics is a psychology thing. You will get people taking over. You'll get people kind of like putting their dogma onto other people. You will get people like trying to control other people, and it's a group dynamic thing. It's an acknowledged human psychological thing. It depends on what scale it is. I do sell balls and touch faces.
Gothic knows what's up.
Gothic knows what's up.
Wait, it's not on you because you're not talking.
Okay,
do that again.
hang on. Oh, sorry, on me. You go slap. Right. Wah wah. Wah wah. Shopping with Joey. Yeah. So
Yes.
don't plant yourself in concrete.
Yeah.
It also applies to the shit castles, which is Chris's
Oh,
one.
yeah, that's mine. Mine is when life hands you a pile of shit, you can make shit castles out of it, or you can use it as fertilizer to grow whatever the fuck you want. Essentially flowers. So hashtag shit castles or flowers. You make your choice.
And that works really well, that example, because when people are giving you shit, like they're like, oh yeah, the Morrigan is just this, you can take that shit and you can build a shit castle with it, or you can take it, deconstruct it, use it as fertilizer.
And if you build a shit castle, it's still a shitty castle, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shit. Just gonna work a few more in there.
Mm-hmm. Shit.
Yes.
Shit.
Or shite, I guess.
for the Irish in the back.
Yes. Shite.
Fucking shite.
Oh my goodness. Okay, guys. So we got like a few minutes left. Any more questions? Anything you want us to talk about in terms of dream stuff or not? Whatever.
Final questions, comments,
final questions. It's the final questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're headed to live chat with Chris and Joey.
Down in the flux space. I think we might be done. I think we might be out of questions.
Maybe.
What's
your favorite dream symbol?
Snake. Oh, I'm all about that snake lately. That's so pervy. That's where I'm ending it.
Snake. About that snake. About that snake.
I'm all
no
about
turtle.
Now it's double day in my mind.
Let's see. Mine would probably be, like, in terms of animals, spider. But I think if I had to think of, like, anything that's come to me in a dream, it would be the Valkyrie that came to me.
Oh, I bet that was interesting.
My dad brought me a freaking Valkyrie. Yeah. And was like, you might want to talk to her. But, like, hearing in dream world isn't, like, the clearest all the time. So I thought he said, I need you to meet this person. She's Valerie.
Valerie.
Wasn't quite the same. So I called my mom when I woke up, like, who the hell is Valerie? Do we have a Valerie in the family or something? And she's like, no. And then my one friend, who's a moon baby, Cancer through and through, looked at me and she was like, Valkyrie. And I was like, oh, yeah, I was in, like, a really gold shining place, and everybody was drinking mead and stuff on oh, I'm a dick. So, yeah, Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Valkyrie. That's probably my favorite that I've had.
Aurora, if you're having problems with scratching shadow figures, you need to cleanse your home, and you need to set up wards, and you need to protect yourself. Cleanse yourself with sage. If you down that way, you can get smudge sprays. You can make your own smudge spray. You can use noise. Sound is my favorite.
Make an herb blend. Lay that at your barriers as well, your thresholds.
And get your wards up. Get your protections up. Do it. Yeah, shit magic is a thing. About, like, writing someone's name and shitting on them. It's a thing. It's a curse thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and pissing on them, too. Using urine. That's another one.
Well, both, if it's first thing in the morning, you know.
Why not?
Which solutions? Throw salt at it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh my god, next topic, wards. We can do that.
Ooh, I would love to do that one. That's like my thing. Wards and protection are my shit.
Are you free on Friday? Because I might have a cancellation Friday now.
Like tomorrow? Wait, what is today?
I know.
It's Thursday now.
Yeah. Yes, tomorrow.
I've been up, guys, since noon yesterday. So that's why I'm like, what day is it?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. We can talk about wards tomorrow. Hell yeah. What do you guys, yeah. What time is good for you?
Usual time. Give you a chance
Our
to
usual,
sleep.
not this one, our typical. Yeah, that's fine. That works.
There you go. We'll talk about
I
wards
will write
tomorrow.
it down.
Tomorrow at 3 p.m. my time, which is 10 a.m. Chris's time. We can talk about wards. Yeah, no problem. Because I'm pretty sure I've got a cancellation tomorrow. So
I love that. I love that topic. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be ready. Can I wear armor?
Yes, by all means. Why not? Right, my
Melissa's like, oh my god, go to sleep.
Well, I've got to go, so yeah.
Yes.
I will see you all tomorrow. Are we going to do that on my channel? Flip it and do it on my channel?
Yeah, we can flip it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool. So we'll be on Joey's at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time now, whatever.
3 p.m. British summertime.
Yep.
Yeah, we can do that. No problem.
Talking about wards and stuff.
Yep. Wards and protections.
And not shit castles.
If shit castles don't come up, I'll be surprised.
Yeah. I'm going to make it a t-shirt one day, I swear.
You should.
It's going to be a thing.
You should. I'll make concrete and planting concrete a thing. Right. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you for coming. I enjoyed the chat. Love your faces as always. Love your freaking faces off. All right. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Bye.